What's up, everybody? Before we get into the video with you guys today, we want you guys to tune in April 19th and 20th as we will be live hanging out with our boys, Fab Reactions, and our honorary use Alec as we watch WrestleMania.
WrestleMania 41 live stream. You got to be tuned in to do so. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when we go live. Also, follow us on our socials to see clips and videos that we'll post leading up to the big show. But now, let's get into the video.
Hola, C2 wrestling fans. SmackDown hailing from Spain tonight. We got a review that is going to go underway in just a moment. But first, as the top of the video stated, I'm going to state it again. WrestleMania 41, baby. We will be live right here on YouTube. Honorary Us Alec in the building. Fab Reactions crew in the building. Going to be an absolute blast. Got to subscribe, turn notifications on, and come hang out with the crew April 19th and 20th. But as for tonight, we got to get right into it. We got new world tag team champions, man. Didn't see that coming. And now, listen, this was aired at what, 3 p.m. Eastern time in Spain. I stayed away from spoilers. You stayed away from spoilers. I did not see this coming, to be honest. This was a surprise to me. I'm a fan of it, though. What did you think?
I like it. I
Yeah.
actually think with this tag division, it makes sense. You know, if Raw did this, it really wouldn't make sense. They're just not strong as like the SmackDown tag division is.
Mm-hmm.
DIY and the Machine Guns clearly are still going to finish that feud based on the promo they had earlier. And I think the Machine Guns are going to beat DIY finally. And I don't think they would be for the titles. Now, you still have the mix of when the Street Profits are coming out, Los Garzas are interrupting them. We already know Pretty Deadly's the challengers for next week. This title change, genuinely, with all of these teams in the mix, having the titles change right here, normally I'd be like, oh, you're so close to Mania. Like, why wouldn't you do that? I have no idea who's going to be the SmackDown Tag Champions in the next, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Mania, post Mania. Like, this title change adds to the confusion. Like, I love it. Like, it could go anywhere.
Yeah, it absolutely can. I do agree. This can go absolutely anywhere. I think there's a couple potential options here. I do think the Street Profits deserve the win. I think it's great. Switch it up a little bit. I think they're transitional champions. I don't predict them holding them past Mania. Pretty Deadly fits the bill to take the titles off of them, in my opinion. But I don't know if it's going to happen. I do think there's potential for them to kind of hot potato these titles around in the next couple of weeks before WrestleMania. You know, maybe a couple teams hold these titles, and that's how they do the multi-man match at WrestleMania. You know, we had DIY lose them, maybe the Profits lose them, then Pretty Deadly loses them, and now you know what? Let's put you all in one match, get one clear champion out of it all. You know, this is maybe forward thinking, you know, but there has been rumors of a post Mania draft, and DIY dropping the titles reeks of them going to Raw. If that was the case, in my opinion, maybe they do hash it out with the Guns. Maybe it is the Guns versus DIY. Maybe that's just a Mania match. I don't know if that makes it on the card instead of a multi-man match. In all honesty, going to be a fantastic tag team match. Don't get me wrong, but I think Raw needs a little help, so I wouldn't be surprised if they do go that route to get some team over there. But regardless, I think it's great. Switch the titles up. Why not? Separate them from DIY and the Guns and that side feud because it doesn't need the belts right now. I think there's more value in the belts kind of being around the Garzas, the Profits, and Pretty Deadly.
For sure. And I think after this SmackDown, again, we're still like 5 weeks away from Mania. I think this is 38 or 39 days, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Um, we're getting there. That math doesn't make sense. 36?
I think it was 36. Yes.
36, yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting there. This SmackDown gave a little bit more of a path for the direction for Mania. Makes you feel the multi-tag match is very likely, especially given the United States Championship opening the show. And yes, that very well could be a multi-person match, but I think that seems to be strongly heading towards the direction of LA Knight, Jimmy Uso one-on-one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is the path is LA Knight, Jimmy Uso one-on-one. Jimmy could win the belt. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they go that route. LA just got the belt back from Shinsuke, so he, like the Street Profits, could be a transitional champion this time around. Face versus face match, I mean, it's a little different, but I can't say no to it. I also can't say no to it being a multi-man U.S. title match. I know we've been predicting left and right every Mania match is going to be multi-man, multi-woman this year, but if they were to throw on one side, I like Drew and Priest as a solo match too, but if you do Drew, Priest, LA, Shinsuke, you throw Jimmy in there, you have a multi-man match in your hands, but the tag titles deserve the multi-man match. That division has been great on SmackDown. All those guys, all 5 teams deserve to be on that WrestleMania card.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the one that actually has the most booking sense for the past few months. The Raw Intercontinental Men's Championship, yes, in a way, but nowhere near to the depth
Yeah.
depths of the SmackDown Tag Division. So I'm all with you that that should be the Mania multi-person match. If there's others, like I'm not going to be against it. I just don't think they're as needed or like going to happen.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the big difference is exactly what you just said, and it's how the tag titles on SmackDown have been really all intertwined with every tag team going. On Raw, if they do an IC multi-man match, it's kind of a lot of like one-on-one feuds thrown into the match. Penta and Ludwig are feuding, AJ Styles and Logan are feuding, and then they're going to be put in bronze match essentially. All these SmackDown teams have been feuding with one another. It is like a turmoil of teams. It's the out of all the matches potentially for WrestleMania, and there could be between 2 nights, there could be 20 matches if you want to get technical. If I could only choose one match to be multi-person at all, it would be the SmackDown tag titles because booking wise, it really makes the most sense right now. I forget about the triple threat between Punk, Roman, and Rollins. Maybe that would be number one, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, it's not for a title, so
True, true.
talking titles.
Well,
Uh,
yeah,
the two biggest things to come out of this show, besides the title change, and besides Axiom getting a match with Gunther, which was awesome, two vignettes that are, I mean, it's not 100% confirmed, but one of them's pretty damn clear. The other one, you can take the hint. Seems like taped show. Get the vignette for Aleister Black and Ray Fenix, both on SmackDown. I'll ask you two questions.
okay.
Question number one: how great does it feel if your prediction is spot on to keep Phoenix and Penta on separate brands because of how great the presentation's been for Penta? You can do it again for Phoenix, and then later down the line, put them together. Question number two: how was the contract negotiations between you and Triple H getting your deal done, and what is the reasoning behind the number 4 in the vignette?
Yeah. Well, the contract negotiations they're actually still going on. They're not officially signed yet, but I'm still in talks with our boy Hunter. But as for the first question, we've only been doing this for a matter of months now, right? And we've had podcasts to reviews to reactions, predictions. We've done a lot of videos. We've spewed out some nonsense, some fantasy booking, but we have also booked out Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, the PLEs well in advance to pretty much what happens. And it's not hard to put together. We're not like wrestling geniuses for doing this, but it is evident that Penta has a certain energy about him right now, a certain level with the fans that it will be a downgrade to put him into the tag division right now. It really would. And Phoenix has the same potential as a solo star. And if it was reversed, let's say Phoenix debuted first, I think Phoenix would have the same kind of energy that Penta has right now. The secondary debut, this time being Phoenix, he's playing off of Penta. I think his debut is going to be even bigger potentially because it's off the back of how great Penta has been portrayed. And there's going to be talk that they're brothers. WWE is very logical nowadays under this new regime. And I can almost guarantee when he debuts, it's probably going to be over commentary that this is the brother of Penta. They will get their time. The Lucha Brothers will reform and win the tag titles at some point down the line, 100% guaranteed. But right now, you keep them separate on SmackDown and Raw. Let them get little solo runs. Absolutely best for business.
This brings me back to what I mentioned a while ago when we talked about the AEW situation with Ray Phoenix. It's exactly what you've said, and it's exactly what I said. We knew they would let Ray Phoenix out of his contract early. We figured they would. We said just bite the bullet and do it at the same time as Penta being a free agent because what's about to happen is what we said would happen. You are letting them double dip on big moments and big representation and all these things. I'm not saying if Ray Phoenix debuted with Penta at that time, like he'd be a nobody by now, but we wouldn't be sitting here 5.5, 4.5, 5 weeks away from Mania. Like, holy shit! Now Ray Phoenix is about to debut, and we see how Penta's been presented. Now we're gonna get Ray Phoenix, and who knows what they could do with him because he's just as crazy, and they could do so many things. Blah blah blah. You're letting them double dip on the big moments, the money, the merch, you name it. You could have This could have been settled. They could have been set up right now facing the Judgment Day for the Raw Tag titles at Mania. It could have been easy as pie, and it's like, all right, yeah, it's cool, but whatever. Now you're giving them another big moment right before WrestleMania, if he does debut before WrestleMania. At the least, you're giving him a big debut during WrestleMania season. Like, it should have just ripped the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can dub that the Ricky Saints effect. It's the same thing with Ricky Saints as it is with Phoenix, even maybe to a larger level with Phoenix because he's going straight to the main roster, in all honesty. Not letting him out of the contract, good for Phoenix, honestly. I'm sure that time for Phoenix sucked. Being employed, but not getting to wrestle, do your thing, own your craft. But in hindsight, I think they're going to look back and go, well, it worked out. It worked out just fine. The debut of Phoenix, I do really expect to be just as big as Penta. I expect him to be portrayed potentially to the same level, presentation wise, and everything. I think they are all in on both of these superstars. And I think they're all in on all sorts of superstars nowadays. All that they're in Spain tonight. You have Axiom come out and have a match against Gunther tonight. To have a Mexican star that is as big as Penta is right now. We haven't had that since Ray, and I feel like they're always searching for, more ethnic superstars for a great reason. And I feel like they tried to, and they did pull the trigger on Alberto Del Rio back in the day, and it didn't quite work out. Penta and Phoenix both
Sin
are
Cara, they fucking
Sin Cara,
tried like
yeah, they tried
crazy.
hard, yeah. And, Penta and Phoenix are two guys that have maybe the most potential out of the lucha libre style, the luchadors, mass wrestlers in a long time. Not to throw shade on, say, Dragon Lee or Axiom. They're all incredible superstars. I think they're all great and have the same potential. But there is a feel to Penta right now that when you bring Phoenix in, man, it's going to be electric.
And now we can switch over to the other vignette, which we'll assume was for Aleister Black or Malakai Black, depending on what he goes by when he returns. This also makes it pretty clear as to why the shakeup, whatever, the transfer window played out the way it did. And it felt like Raw was a little bit stronger than SmackDown, especially with the mid card United States Championship to a little bit of the WWE Championship. All those rivalries have all pretty much happened. And like we were talking about LA Knight's US title run, yes, he could face Jimmy, but say he retains against Jimmy, like there's so many people that he's already faced, and this is second go around. You mix in Aleister Black and Ray Phoenix, and it's like the ultimate breath of fresh air to the entire men's division on SmackDown. I mean, the opportunities are pretty much endless, especially with Ray Phoenix. He hasn't wrestled any of these guys in WWE.
Yeah, I mean, it makes me think. I don't know if there's ever been an episode of Raw or SmackDown where there's been two vignettes for different superstars as big as Phoenix and Aleister are name wise at the moment. I'm sure there's been an episode where they've, run two vignettes, whatever, sure, but it's a rarity. It's not often that you have two guys of such name value clearly coming over to the company or back to the company at the same time, debuting on the same brand. It absolutely is why they stacked up Raw. They knew for a little while we're going to put Fenix on SmackDown. We're going to put Aleister on SmackDown. I would assume he comes back as Aleister as well. I think it's great. Zelina's also on SmackDown, so it makes sense for Aleister for sure. What do they do with them? I am not certain. I would like to see Fenix again get maybe the slower build like Penta. Aleister can get launched right into the US title for all I care. That guy, you can put a title on him immediately. I want them to run with Aleister right off the bat. He did that short stint. Well, it was a couple years, but short stint with WWE to start. He already has name value. People are going to know who he is. He doesn't need that build up like Fenix is going to maybe need. Not that he needs it, but should get it because it worked with Penta. Aleister Black, throw him in the title picture. Fenix, I want him to stay away from, same as Penta, from the LWO and that whole mix of things, So he's on SmackDown, probably won't be in the mix with that. Potential's through the roof.
On the topic of the two vignettes in one night, it would have been, you know, very easy for the SmackDown after WrestleMania for that to happen. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're expecting all these things. You're expecting, just like the Raw after WrestleMania, you're expecting the debuts, the vignettes, the coming soons, the call ups. 4 or 5 weeks before Mania is not when you're expecting to see, especially both of them. Like that is the ultimate, the ultimate switch up on us, which love. I do think Ray Phoenix, you're probably going to get similar to Penta, where whether it's Santos Escobar, Andrade, Carmelo Hayes, The Miz, I think the first few weeks, it's going to be you got 20 minutes, especially if there's still 3 hours. You got 20 minutes, go out there, tear the house down. Let's just show these people what you can do. Very similar to what they did with Penta, where he wasn't in the main event against Roman Reigns and CM Punk, whatever, but he's facing all these guys that can go and putting on damn good matches. The Ludwig Kaisers, the Pete Dunnes, you name it. I think they might do something similar with Penta, with Ray Phoenix to help establish him a little bit with the fan base. Aleister truly could just show up the SmackDown after WrestleMania and hit the Black Mass on LA Knight, and that just starts their title feud. Like that
Yeah.
genuinely could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. Phoenix, should get that, 20-minute banger, just like Penta did with Gable. Give Phoenix Andrade or Miz or somebody, and they will have a great match for the Phoenix debut. Aleister, man, I've been wanting him back for so long. We've talked about this. If you're new to C2 Wrestling, go back and watch the videos. I talk about this a bunch. I've been on the Penta and Phoenix train for years now, and it's so nice to see them both finally in WWE. 4 or 5 weeks before WrestleMania, I don't really run vignettes around this time. We could get one or two of these guys before WrestleMania, after WrestleMania. Hell, we can get one of them during WrestleMania. It's a very interesting time for them to be debuting or returning superstars. So it's got me ready to watch. I can't miss SmackDown for the next few weeks because anything can happen.
Yeah, now someone who LA Knight, for instance, all right, yes, it seems like he's going to face Jimmy Uso, but using him as reference, someone who you're not 100% positive what his direction could be for Mania, could be facing Aleister Black, could be facing Ray
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix. Who knows? Like, they're genuinely anything can happen. And the best part about it is we're going to hop on here and talk about it. We're going to break it down. We're going to enjoy these vignettes, these surprises, these banger matches with. We hate breaking the brand split, but we make exception for our goat Gunther showing up on SmackDown. So we'll throw it up real quick. Make sure you are subscribed, turn on notifications. We've got so much planned for Mania weekend. Got some stuff coming tomorrow to my apartment that is going to be a huge help for Mania weekend. Some of the things that we're going to do. I can't even begin to stress how fun it's all going to be. So you got to be tapped in. You got to be subscribed. You got to have notifications on. You got to follow our socials to know when we're posting. You got to be tapped in to C2 Wrestling.
And say it better myself, baby.